I recently read The Obstacle is the Way, The Timeless Art of Turning Trials into Triumph by Ryan Holiday. At the beginning of World War II, the Germans used a devastating military tactic called blitzkrieg to take control of Europe. When Allied forces fought their way back onto European soil, many Allied leaders feared that the German blitzkrieg would push them back to the Atlantic Ocean. But not General Dwight D. Eisenhower. Where others saw a threat, Eisenhower saw an opportunity. You see, the blitzkrieg was like a spear. The tip of the spear was led by a narrow column of German panzer tanks, with troops trailing far behind them. If the Allies allowed the German blitzkrieg to push through their front line and bend the Allied forces around the tip of the spear, they could expose the German flanks and surround the Germans. By using the ancient Stoic practice of turning obstacles into opportunities, Eisenhower used German aggression against the Germans and earned a decisive victory at the Battle of the Bulge, and eventually, total victory in Europe. As the great Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius once said, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." This mindset is especially relevant today, as we appear to be heading into an economic recession. Most people view a recession as a destructive event, and it is, but it's also a great opportunity. If you're looking to start a business, a recession can allow you to hire great people you wouldn't otherwise be able to. And during a recession, you'll be able to negotiate better contracts with vendors, and you'll get office space or warehouse space for much cheaper than you would when the demand is high. And if you can fight through the recession, you'll come out the other side, able to capture more market share, and have an easier time marketing your business, since you'll have fewer competitors than you would in an economic boom. In fact, some of the greatest businesses were launched during or shortly after an economic recession. Roy and Walt Disney started Walt Disney Productions at the start of the Great Depression. Costco started during a recession in the late 1970s. And LinkedIn started just after the dot-com bubble burst. A recession is also a great time for savvy investors. A market crash means that great companies are effectively on sale. Instead of buying when the market is reaching higher highs, savvy investors have cash on hand to buy when everyone else is fleeing the market. As Warren Buffett said, "Be fearful when others are greedy, and greedy only when others are fearful." The key to spotting opportunity in a recession or in any other setback in life or at work is to not merely endure a setback, but to love it. Author Ryan Holiday says, the first thought should not be, "I'm okay with this," or "I think I feel good about this," but "I feel great about this." Because if it happened, then it was meant to happen. And I am glad that it did when it did. And I'm meant to make the best of it. The great German philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche once said, "My formula for greatness in a human being is amor fati," that one wants nothing to be different, not forward, not backward, not in all eternity. To not merely bear what is necessary, still less conceal it, but love it. An amor fati attitude is more in line with an ancient Stoic attitude than what is considered a Stoic attitude today. Stoics aren't indifferent and unaffected by events. They are cheerful in the face of any event, positive or negative. Stoics aren't like cows standing in the rain. They're more like children jumping in puddles, sticking their tongue out to catch the raindrops. A simple yet concrete way to practice an amor fati attitude is to see your so-called negative emotions as assets. If you're feeling lonely, love it. It's your body reminding you that you value others, and it's the push you need to reach out and connect with others. Getting frustrated or feeling guilty? That's great. That confirms that you have a higher standard, and you can use that energy you're feeling to maintain that standard. In the book, Ryan Holiday uses a story of boxer Jack Johnson to perfectly illustrate an amor fati attitude. On July 4th, 1910, Jack Johnson and Jim Jeffries faced off in what was marketed as the fight of the century. Johnson was the first black heavyweight champion in the US, and Jim Jeffries, who boxing fans labeled the Great White Hope, had come out of retirement to stop the black boxer's ascension. For 15 rounds, Johnson received racist taunts from Jeffrey's corner and a hostile crowd of 20,000 people. But Johnson seemed to enjoy every minute of it. After receiving a punch that opened his upper lip, Johnson gave Jeffries a gory, bloody, but cheerful smile. With every passing round, Johnson became increasingly cheerful and playful, which caused Jeffries to become more enraged. This quickly tired out Jeffries, and by round 15, he lost the will to fight, and his corner threw in the towel. When life punches you in the face, just smile back. Stay cheerful when facing something you hate to gain the upper hand. If someone's rude or dismissive, love it. If it's your boss who's rude and dismissive, you can easily exceed his or her expectations. And if it's your competition who's rude and dismissive, you'll surprise them the next time you face off. Got injured and stuck in bed? Awesome. Now's a great time to rest and catch up on some reading. If you learn to love every obstacle that life throws your way, you'll find that more obstacles offer opportunities to improve your life in some way. But you need not wait for a real obstacle. You can simply imagine obstacles in your way. If you own a business, imagine a year from now, you show up at your office and the doors are locked, and someone has put an out of business sign on your front door. What happened? What went wrong? Did your product become obsolete? Did a competitor steal your market share? Did you get complacent and lose the drive you once had? By taking a few minutes to think negatively and simulate threats to your business's survival, you can strengthen your business by turning those threats into a strategic advantage. Facebook constantly does this. They identify threats and incorporate those threats into their business. They noticed and bought Instagram very early. Then Facebook borrowed stories from a competitor, Snapchat, and made it just different enough to not get sued, and by doing so, they grew to new heights. If you don't run a business, use this concept in your career. Imagine showing up to work and realizing that you no longer have a job. Imagine a candid final conversation with your boss. What other reasons you're being let go? Were any of them within your control? Were there skills you could have built, or strategic relationships you could have developed? This technique is called a pre-mortem. A post-mortem is a common medical exercise. It's when doctors examine the causes of a patient's unexpected death. But a pre-mortem is the act of examining why your career, business, or next work project failed before it fails. When doing a pre-mortem, the key is to go beyond simply protecting your downside, and instead identify the threats to your career, business, or next work project, and find a way to turn those threats into opportunities. In the end, start practicing the timeless art of turning trials into triumphs by seeing the upside of every apparent setback, like Eisenhower saw the upside of German aggression in World War II. The first step to spotting the upside is to adopt an amor fati attitude. That is, love whatever life throws your way, and don't wish it to be different. When life metaphorically punches you in the face, smile back. But you need not wait for a setback to spot an opportunity. You can simply simulate setbacks ahead of time. By simulating setbacks, you can strengthen your approach and stay one step ahead of any threat. That was the core message that I gathered from The Obstacle is the Way by Ryan Holiday.